your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. Over the weekend, I was invited to this battle rap competition. The homies from day one had asked me to come down there and be a part of it and to bring my gear and post up. And while I was there, I met the homie Swerve. He's a blood homie from out here that did some Fed time. And we got into a conversation, and he was telling me about how his woman held him down, how his girl was there for him throughout his incarceration, and when he came home, and all the rest. And as you guys know, my wife waited for me for 17 years. Or I met her 17 years ago in 2000, well, it's over 17 years now, but I first met her in 2005. And the homie was like, man, you should do an episode about what it means to men like us that are locked down to have a solid woman hold us down while we down and out. And the reason is, we know that there's a lot of homies out there that's in the same situation right now, that is doing a lot of time, that's got a wife out here on the streets, or that's got a girl out here on the streets. And, for us being locked down, it's easy. We don't have any options. We can't go nowhere. We fucked up. But for the women's out here, for the girls out here that's waiting on their man, their life is not the same. Maybe they can't do certain things that they want. Maybe they can't go to certain places they would like. There's all sorts of different scenarios and different things that makes the situation hard for them. So this is for you, Swerve. I just want to give my 2 cents about what it meant to me and what can become of it. First and foremost, you can't just expect a woman out here to wait for you if you ain't that dude that's worth waiting for. Let me repeat that. You can't expect a woman out here, a girl out here, to wait for you if you're not that dude that is worth waiting for. And what I mean by that is that you have to show your appreciation too, by doing the little things that you can do within the confines of your environment, within your limitation. There's always things that you can do to help the situation. Because at the end of the day, when a woman is out here running around for you, taking care of your business, picking up your phone call, she wants to make sure that you're there with her mentally. That when she runs into issues, when she's going through something, that you're going to listen, that you're going to pay attention, and that you're going to do the little things that it takes to keep the relationship healthy. I met my wife in 2005 when I was in Victorville. As you already know, I spent a lot of time in the SHU during the course of my bid. I probably spent easily 45% of my 24 years locked down in a cell. And at this particular time, I was in the SHU in Victorville. And when you go to the SHU, especially if you're on a California yard, the politics is you sell you up with your own race. I'm Asian, so I'll probably sell you up with Asian, Islander, or Native Americans. Blacks sell you up with blacks, whites sell you up with whites, Mexicans sell you up with Mexicans. But for me, I sell you up with anybody. If you're a good dude and I know you, we fuck with each other, I don't got a problem selling up with you. And mostly the people that I fuck with they're the caliber of individuals that their homie's not going to say nothing to them about them selling up with me. So when I was in Victorville, I was in a cell by myself because, I was the only Asian back there at the time in the shoe. But one of my friends, he caught his case. He's from California, but he caught his case out here in Utah. His name is Charles Freeman. He's Jewish. He was in there, but he was the orderly. And he was in across the hall from me. And he was like, hey, man, if you want, you can move into my cell and we can kick it. I'm not even going to be in my cell half the time. I'm out there, he's out there sweeping them and mopping the floor and whatever. And I'm like, shit, I don't give a fuck. So me and him became celly. He's a white Jewish dude, or just Jewish dude. I don't know if Jewish are considered white. They look white. Yeah, they're considered white. My wife just nodded her head. But
if they're white, they're white.
Yeah, so, and him being Jewish, he's not really held to the white supremacist, neo-Nazi standards of not, selling it with other races and all that stuff. And he was his own man. So I moved in there with him. When I'm in there with him, one thing about the Jewish community, they have a really firm, strong foundation. They had an organization that helped the Jewish inside the penitentiary keep in touch with the ones out in the world. Through this, what's it called, Ben?
Alpha Institute.
Through this, the Alpha Institute Pen Pal program, the Jewish community would go and ask for volunteers to write other Jewish members that are incarcerated. So at this time, he's like, hey, man, why don't you sign up for this pen pal? And I'm like, man, I'm not trying to sign up for no freaking pen pal. Like who the hell would want to write somebody in jail? For me, that's the way I thought. Like, people got lives out there. And I've had girls that I wrote, throughout the course of my time, but it was just trying to settle in to do my bid. Part of me believed that I had to let the street go, because as far as I was concerned, 26 years sentence was a life sentence. I've watched every day out here people getting butchered. I watched people not making it. And, in 2005, I've only been in there for about 6-7 years. So in my mind, it's like, I still got 19, 20 years to go. Why am I worried about trying to write somebody on the streets? Like, I wasn't into it, and it really didn't matter to me, because at that time, my mentality was right here, right now. Survive from 6 a.m. in the morning till 10 p.m. lockdown. And that was how I did my program. But as we were cellies, he finally talked me into it. But I'm like, dude, I'm not even Jewish. He goes, yeah, it's cool. Just let them know that you're not Jewish and what you're looking for, who you want to write. So I filled out the form. I told him, hey, I'm not Jewish, and I want to write somebody that's close to my age, that's a female, So on the street, my wife's mom is, in the Jewish community. And she came to Laura at the time, was like, hey, I've been writing this guy in prison. They have this program that, you can help keep, the Jews on the inside in touch with the Jews on the outside. But my wife's like, I haven't even been to the synagogue in how many years. I don't even really practice the religion. And besides that, what the hell do I have to say to somebody in prison? But again, on that aspect, her mom finally convinced her to sign up for the program. So when she signed up to the program, she got 3 names, and one of them had to had to be mine. So around October, right close to Halloween, I got a Halloween card. You know, it was something short. I got a card. I was like, ooh, what the hell is this? You know, I'm on the compound still, you know, at this time. And it's been like, at the time that I filled out the form was in the summer. It was around June or July. And I had came back out of the SHU, been back on the compound for a couple months. And I forgot that I even signed up for this pen pal program, right? But again, around Halloween, I got a letter. And, you know, every day after 4 o'clock count, when they open back up your door around 4:30, they do mail call. And when they do mail call, the whole unit's over there, surrounding the COs and watching the CO grab the mail bag. Sometimes the bag is full. Sometimes when he dumped that bag out, there might only be 5, 6 letters. There's 200 motherfuckers in the block, you know. But everybody comes out at mail time. Even the ones that know there ain't nobody writing them. They know they ain't right. They ain't written nobody. Nobody's writing them. But still, when mail time comes, we always have that hope that maybe somebody thought about us, you know? Because, you know, I've gotten letters from some homies that I haven't talked to or heard from in years. And when I get it, I don't have that feeling like, man, what the fuck you writing me for? You ain't, you know? It's like, damn, homie thought about me. He sent me a card. He sent me a picture. Like, I can't describe to you, even though I sit right here and I tell you that, you know, my mentality was to let the street go. And I was just focused on, you know, doing my time in prison. Anytime I got a letter from whoever, it's a feeling you can't describe. It's just like, you know, somebody out here took the time to sit down and thought about you. And for us that has been locked up and really left behind, it's emotional, you know. You know, sometimes I think I suffer from PTSD sharing these stories, right? Because I'm really living in these emotions that I've had that I had to suppress while I was incarcerated. But yeah, homie, just understanding and knowing that somebody out here is taking the time out of their day to put pen and paper together and think about you, that means a lot. Even if it's just a couple words that says hi, hello, you know, I can't really describe it, you know. So, you know, every day we go, when they call the mail, the whole unit is over there hoping that somebody thought about them. I stopped going over there. You know, I get my newspaper. I had a subscription to USA Today, so I know I get the newspaper every day. But like I said, this time, I already put the streets in the back of my mind already. So I'm in a room, just kicking it, you know, getting ready to smoke me a joint. Me and my cellie, not my cellie, but my neighbor, Barry, he's half Korean, half black out here from Utah. You know, he's always in my cell. We always kicking it, we always drinking, we always smoking, and it's just our regular routine. But at this time now, I'm in the room and my door opens and the CEO's like, you know, I'm sitting at the table. I got a bong. I made a water bong out of out of the freaking water bottle, right? I took the soda can, cut it, made a bowl out of it or whatever. So we over there, I'm trying to smoke, and I got a freaking balloon or a glove that I'm gonna blow my hit into, and then like, retake the hit, So, I'm just doing what I do, right? So I'm sitting there on the table. I take my hit, off my little water bong, and my door gets pulled open. And I'm like, I got the stuff in my lungs, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I look, and it's the CO. Her name is Pelias. She's cool as shit. She's like, what the fuck you doing? And I can't talk because I don't want to, even though she knows, but it's one thing to assume and know, and then another thing to put it in their face, right? So I'm like, and she fucking throws the mail at me. You got mail. And she throws my, my magazine at me, my newspaper, and slams the door. So when she throws it at me, I noticed that there was a little envelope that floated out too, right? So when she closed the door, I exhale, the THC starts kicking in, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I go get the letter, I pick it up, and it says something from Alpha Institute, and had Laura Williams on there. And then I remembered, oh shit, I signed up for this program, right? So I opened up the letter and I read. It was just like a short introduction of, hey, my name is Laura. I live in Seattle. I do piercing, tattooing, and so on. I don't know if we got anything in common, but if you're interested, write back. So, me, when somebody takes the time to write me, I'm not going to sit there and hold up on the letter or whatever. So, when they closed that door for that night, I got back and wrote her, hey, and wrote I'm not even really sure what I wrote, but I was just like, one of the questions I asked her is like, why would you want to write somebody in prison? Because me, I don't want to pretend to be anything. I'm not trying to get anybody that I write with for anything. I'm just trying to do my bid, and if somebody wants to write me, man, I appreciate it. And if they don't, oh well, So I just kept it real simple back to her and shot it back out. But, a month or so later, me and my cellie got caught up for what we did to one of the homies and up in the shoe. And in the shoe, I finally got a second letter from her. And, we just started corresponding through the years. When I got transferred to Beaumont, I had her address memorized, but our letter was taking a little longer to get back and forth because we was going through the Alpha Institute. And finally, she gave me an address at one of her studio that I could write directly to her studio. And, to have somebody out in the street, out in the world that cares about you, that is consciously thinking of you, it gives you a different perspective on life. It gives you a sense of hope, I started looking forward to her letters every day. We were getting to the point where we were able to write each other within a week, and we were receiving the letters from each other within a week. And it was cool. It was nothing, of course, in the letters, I'm going to shoot my shot, try to flirt here and there. I don't know how well I was able to do that. Not too well, because I asked her for her number and she's like, nah, I can't give you my number and this and that. So for the first 4 years that we were corresponding, I never spoke with her, And then I got transferred from Beaumont to Atwater. And at this time, around this time, she was in a relationship. And she was like, hey, I can't really write you like I want to, like I used to, but I just want to make sure that you have books and stuff, to keep you occupied. And every month she would send me 4 or 5 books. And, these books ranges from different topics, Sometimes it's something I requested. Sometimes it's something that she came across that she thought I might be interested in, or it was something that she read that she wanted me to read. And I ate these books up. When the books came, even though it didn't come with a letter, I knew it came from her. So I consumed these books. I read every single thing she sent me. But at the same time, I gotten so used to that feeling of having someone out there to correspond with, having someone out there that cares about you, that when it was stripped from me, it was almost like maybe I would have been better off if I never experienced it, because it was just like taking the oxygen away from my lungs. But at the same time, I wanted to be respectful to her and her situation. So, I never really said anything. I was just grateful that she was still sending me books, and with here and there I get, a birthday card or Christmas card. Or, when the holidays come around, I always got a card with a theme, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and so on and so forth. So when I got to Atwater, again, I end up in the shoe. I'm always in the shoe, right? So I'm in the shoe, and every time I go to the shoe, I'm in there for 4 to 6 months, And at this time, I'm in the shoe, and I get a book sent to me, a couple books. They come and give me the books while I'm in my cell, and I know who it's from. So I see a letter. I look for the building address, where they build, for the money for the books. And I see the address. So I wrote her a letter. I said, look, I appreciate this book, but I'd rather have a piece of toilet paper with your handwriting on it. And I shot it out to her. It just so happened it went to her boyfriend's or fiance's mom's house, right? So I guess she came home one day and her mom was like, hey, Laura, I got to talk to you, and handed my letter to her, and she was just like, what the fuck? And she wrote me like, hey, you can't be writing me at this address. I'm sorry about, not writing you, and this and that. I'm in a relationship. We're trying to do things, open up a shop, get married, so on and so forth. And, when I got that letter, it was sad, for me. It was just like, for me, I never intended for it to ever be anything than a pen pal. And I was okay with that. As far as letting her live her life, I wanted the best for her. I wanted her to be happy, to be able to do the things she needed to do. I didn't want her to miss out on anything. And, up until that point, we weren't like an item or anything. We just started really liking each other through our letters and started really caring about each other. But, we never talked about her waiting for me or us being together. I just didn't want that burden on her, and I didn't want that stress on me, because the way I put it to her was, I got 20-something years left to do, and there's no guarantee that I'm coming home. I don't want you to invest your time all these years, and then somehow I end up getting caught up and catching more time, which I almost did a few times, and then it'd just be a waste of her life, But also, it's like I don't want to have something to worry about, to stress over, because the environment that I live in, all my senses is already on high alert at all times already. I have no more energy to deal with other shit that I can't do anything about. When I call home and hear that my mom is sick or my dad is sick or my aunt is sick, there's nothing I can do. There's absolutely nothing I can do. And that's what kept me from calling home a lot of times. Like, it was just forget about the world and live and try to make it through the day. That was, that was the extent of my mentality. But we got to a point, she was like, like a month or so later after I got out of the shoe, I got a letter and she was like, hey, I'm trying to move on with my life. I really dig this dude. We're trying to build a future together. And, I'd ask that you respect it and so on and so forth and let me move on. I'm not repeating it for verbatim or anything, but, and I wrote it back, and I was like, everything I touch turned to shit. And I don't want to ruin your life. I don't want to make it hard for you. I wish you the best. Like, this is my last letter, and, I wish you, a happy life. And I think like a few weeks later, I got a letter from her, and she was like, hey, I'm in Vegas. I packed up all my stuff. I left him. I'm in Vegas. What's up? And she finally shot me her phone number. This is around 2009. So we've been writing since 2005. And finally in 2009, she gave me her phone number. And we got on the phone and talked a couple times. And then she stopped picking up my phone call, But I knew that. I even told her during the first conversations, was like, this ain't going to be easy. And like when it comes to a point in time where you can't deal with it anymore or you can't do it anymore, just let me know. Like, I'm not going to hold anything against you. I understand. Like, I didn't want this. I enjoyed her friendship. And for me at that time, that was enough. I didn't want her to put her life on hold or rearrange her life, for me. Like, for me to want that or to expect that would be a complete selfishness. And I didn't want that, But she was like, yeah, I can do this. Don't worry about it. We're gonna be able to do it. But but in my mind, I'm still like, it sounds good, because this is the first day. What happens when it's 10 years from now, 15 years from now, or a year from now? Because I already know that it's not easy out here to be alone out here in this world with all the things that go on, without your partner being there by your side, going through the struggles with you. And sure enough, after like a couple weeks, I think, I called and she didn't pick up my phone call. Maybe, she was busy, so I called again. And I called like 2 or 3 more times, and she never picked up the call. And that's when I realized what had happened. I was like, yeah. It came a little sooner than I expected, but I expected it. Because because at the time, in my opinion, from my perspective, it's like, I didn't think that she fully understand what this took. So I ended up calling my little sister and asked my sister to call her, just like, look, I already know what's going on. I'm cool with that. I just want to make sure you're okay, that you didn't get in a car accident. And if I just know that you're okay, we're good. I won't bother you no more. So my sister relayed the message to her. She called and she spoke to Laura. And she was like, well, when I'm on the phone with him, I just want to say yes. But she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, it's still fucking 2 decades before he comes home, So I never called her again. I respected it because I understood how it was going to, that it wasn't going to be easy. And maybe 3 or 4 months later, around Christmas, I got a letter from her. And it's like, hey, I'm still in Vegas. I could use a friend if you still want to be my friend. At that time, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do because it was just like, do I really want to open this wound again? Go through this shit again? And really, how could I do that to her? It's easier, for me, it's easy. I'm locked in a box. I can't go nowhere. I can't do nothing. And I'm not missing anything. I'm not missing out on anything by choice. I have no choice. I'm here. But she has her whole life, So I talked to my homeboy, Leighton Bora, and I was going through the scenarios with her, asking her his opinion what I should do. And he was like, man, Mason, man, at the end of the day, she's a grown woman. She's going to make her choice. And if she wants to fuck with you, then let her do it. So I decided to write her back. And from that conversation, after I wrote her back, we exchanged a couple of letters. I called her. And one day we just sat down and really talked about what we were really doing. And she ended up coming to visit me. And we made up our minds, like, she was like, hey, I'm going to be here for you. And at that time, I believed her because now she's already went through the changes and know what to expect. And when we sat across from each other in the vision room and had that conversation, there was no doubt in my mind that she was going to be here when I came home. And she's here when I came. She was there to pick me up. Like, for the girls out here, for the women's out here that it's got a man that's locked up. I don't know the words. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. You know what I mean? But if you got a dude that you feel is worthy of your love, worthy of your commitment, I just want you to understand from our perspective is that means the world to us. To have somebody out here to hold us down, to have somebody out here that thinks about us, to have somebody out here to pick up the phone. Like, there's no word to describe how comforting that is and how it helps with our sanity. I escape the world that I live in 15 minutes at a time through the phone calls. I didn't do my last 15 years straight. I did it in increments of hours because when I got on the phone with my wife, I wasn't in prison anymore. It was just me and my girl talking, catching up, laughing, joking, hearing about her day, sharing whatever. In those 15 minutes, I'm not in a fucking prison surrounded by wall and gun towers. In those 15 minutes, I'm on a different plane. It's just me and her voice. And I could escape from my environment for that 15 minutes. And then I'll hang up and call right back, Sometimes I'll be on the phone for an hour straight because I got 3 or 4 phones. And it was my escape. It was my therapy. It was my sanity, And when I hung up, I came back to prison. But I wasn't doing a stretch. I was breaking it up. And, me being here right now, being able to share you this story is a testament to her love, her commitment, her dedication. And for the women and the girls out there that got dudes that's in a struggle, for me, for the purpose of this episode, is just letting you know that we appreciate that, like beyond words, beyond anything I can say here. And me coming home, knowing the sacrifices that she's made, knowing the commitment that she's made, I have a sense of not necessarily obligation, but desire to not let it be in vain, to not disappoint her, because I can never repay the love that I've been shown, the love that I have from her. There's nothing in this world that I can do to ever repay that. But every day I can try and keep on trying. And I hope I'm never able to repay it. I hope that I spend the rest of my life just trying to live up to it, living up to be worthy of it. And I feel like, when you have a woman like that hold you down, men like me in our situation, we understand the value and we appreciate that. So again, for the ladies out here, if you got a man that's incarcerated, and if you feel that he's worthy for your love, man, be there for him. And if he's half the man that you think he is, when he comes home, he's going to spend the rest of his life trying to pay you back. Welcome to the USP.